Okay, this is absolutely insane. This is crazy. Wizards of the Coast has done it again. Basically, Wizards of the Coast sent a squad of thugs to a Magic the Gathering YouTuber's house to threaten and intimidate him. Okay, this is what we're gonna do today. We're going to go over a recap of the events that transpired, what happened at this YouTuber's house, and what these Pinkerton thugs did and threatened to do to him. We're gonna take a look at some of Wizards of the Coast statements about the matter, and then we're gonna have to talk about how this continues to show the true colors of some of Wizards of the Coast senior management and what our response to that should be. Also, I have put links down in the description to a bunch of the sources that I used in gathering this information, such as the articles from Gizmodo, a link to this YouTuber's channel. He's called oldschoolmtg. And then I put a helpful link down to the Wikipedia article about the Pinkertons so that you could read more about this wonderful agency. This wonderful agency that Wizards of the Coast hired to go get back some gaming cards. All right, the recap of what happened. There is a Magic the Gathering player who also runs a YouTube channel, and he ordered some cards. His friend sent him some Magic the Gathering cards. He gets the cards, he opens them up, and he realizes that these are actually cards that haven't been released yet. Of course, he's all excited and he starts making videos about them, which is perfectly fine because it is a normal thing in Magic the Gathering for YouTubers to get cards before they're released and then do videos on them. He's probably thinking, hey, what's the harm? Other people do it. I got the cards beforehand. Yay. Now, apparently these cards were under some sort of embargo, which I guess means you're not supposed to show them off or something. But he's completely unaware of this, has no idea whatsoever, has no idea, no clue that he's doing anything wrong. He just got some cool cards. He's excited because he's the Magic Gathering player and enthusiast, and he wants to show the cards off to people. And other YouTubers and folks do this all the time, so, you know, again, what's the harm? So we just have an innocent dude, a fan of Magic the Gathering, who's excited about the game, about the hobby, and wants to show off some cards to help spread the excitement. So, what does Wizards do? Now, like I said, these cards were like embargoed or something, so the dude isn't supposed to be showing them off, even though he has no idea. And Wizards of the Coast wants this to stop. They're like, they go into freak out mode, I guess, and they're like, oh my gosh, they can't show these cards off. This is a problem. So what do they do? What do they do? Do they give the guy a call? Do they pick up the phone and call him? Do they send him an email, cease and desist from their attorney? Like, there's a number of things that they could have done to resolve this and resolve it amicably. A nice phone call. Hey, you know, those cards you're showing off in your videos are actually not supposed to be shown off yet. If you could just be so kind as to take them down and stop doing that, that'd be wonderful. And, you know, we'll send you some free cards just for kicks, just to thank you for your cooperation in this matter. Would have been resolved wonderfully. No problems whatsoever. That's probably what an ethical, normal company would do. But what does Wizards of the Coast do? They go to the Pinkerton agency. They hire these guys. These guys are effectively a goon squad. They are known for their part in disrupting labor unions and organized unions and all that kind of good stuff, violently, aggressively putting together goon squads and that sort of thing. They have a very bad reputation and are collectively known as thugs. They are like the worst rent-a-cops you could hire in the country to go get people when you really just want them to intimidate, threaten, and use strong-arm tactics to make them comply and comply quickly. I mean, that is their reputation. If you hire them, you know what you are hiring. You know what you are getting. You absolutely want them to go in, use whatever means they need to take care of business and resolve the matter. Like, that's what they do. So Wizards of the Coast sends these dudes to the guy's house, and they basically knock on the door. His wife answers, and then the dude, oh, by the way, his name is Dan, by the way. Dan goes to the door and, like, you know, then the Pinkerton agencies had basically stopped his wife from closing the door, like probably stuck their foot in or put their shoulder against it or something, I would imagine, effectively so that they couldn't close the door in front of them. And then Dan managed to get them outside to have a conversation as opposed to letting them barge into his house, because who the heck are these guys and what the heck's going on? And then they go on to explain like what's happening, like you have these cards, you shouldn't have these cards, you're putting YouTube videos out and we don't want you to do that, Wizards of the Coast needs these cards back like right away. And if you don't give them back right away, you could be facing jail time, like 1 to 10 years. There could be fines of up to $250,000 plus legal fees. They basically start threatening and intimidating him that if you do not give these cards back right away, immediately, there's going to be severe problems. And of course, Dan mentioned that he knows who the Pinkertons are and what they do, and so he's like, okay, this is serious. Like, holy crap, the Pinkertons are at my door. So Dan complies. He gives them back all of the cards, the foil wrappers, and everything that they wanted. Pinkertons say, okay, here's a number, call Wizards of the Coast and talk to them. Dan calls them, and apparently the representative on that end was very nice and apologetic about the whole thing and offered to give him some free product and stuff like that. And Dan's wife was really upset by this, crying and stuff, probably terrified, right? You have goons show up at your front door. They don't let you close the door. They're blocking it, trying to come into your house. Like, my goodness, you'd be seriously considering, like, what is going on here? What are these people going to do to me? And all of this happens over some collectible gaming cards. Some collectible gaming cards. That's what it is. Magic the Gathering cards, baby. You got these cards, you weren't supposed to have them, you started showing videos on them, and instead of giving you a phone call, instead of sending you an email, a cease and desist or something like that, we send thugs to your house to almost break down your door to intimidate you to giving the cards back. Who does that? Like, who does that? Are you serious? Really? That's insane. How can you justify that sort of behavior and doing that to a dude who's simply a Magic the Gathering enthusiast? He's a collector. He's making videos sharing his love for the hobby, helping to spread it to other people and getting people excited. And this is how you treat someone who's probably loyal to you. He spent $4,000 on that group of collectible cards that they came after, and he's probably dropped lots and lots of other money on the hobby throughout the years, simply because he loves it and he's spreading the love other. And this is how you treat someone. This is how you treat a loyal customer and someone who loves your brand, loves your game, and his YouTube channel. He doesn't do it for money. It's not even a part-time, nothing. He's a hobbyist. He's doing these videos because he wants to spread the love, and that's how you treat him. There was nothing nefarious going on here. It's not like he was dodging the law and had all these cars and he's hopping state to state doing these clandestine YouTube videos showing. It's like it was an innocent mistake. He got the cards, he wasn't supposed to have them, and he didn't understand that there was an embargo or something on them. And here we are. Okay, now what I'd like to do is dig into some of Wizards of the Coast statements that they put over on the Gizmodo articles, so that we can kind of see what Wizards of the Coast is saying, what the response has been, and try to ferret out if there's any credence or believability to what their official responses are. Okay, for this one right here, they say, according to the Wizards of the Coast, the company sent an investigator as part of an investigation into the unauthorized distribution and disclosure of embargoed product, and only after several phone calls went unanswered. The investigator, the company says, this is Wizards of the Coast, visited him and asked that he reach out to us as part of our investigation and return the embargoed product and packaging. He agreed to do both. We are replacing all of the unreleased product with the product that he intended to purchase. I mean, okay, yeah, that's kind of true from a certain point of view. If an investigator can mean like a goon and thugs who like break into the guy's house practically, you know, and I'll push open the door and don't let him close the door. If that's what an investigator is, okay, I suppose. And the whole part about several phone calls went unanswered, maybe, but I don't know. Okay, and then right here, Gizmodo goes on, the article says, Wizards of the Coast says it strongly refutes this depiction of events, which contradicts both the report from the investigation as well as the conversation between the individual and the Wizards of the Coast representative after the interaction in question. The company also stated that under no circumstances would we instruct any employee or contracted agency to intimidate an individual. well, of course they're going to dispute this depiction of the events. It casts their company in a very negative light. And they're going off from the report from the investigation. So you send Pinkerton thugs to their house, and then the Pinkerton thugs get the job done, and then they send a report back saying mission accomplished. Do you think they're actually going to include in the report the details of like barging into the house, not letting him close the door, threatening, intimidating them? Like, do you think that they're going to put that in the report, or is it going to exclude those details? And then they say, under no circumstances would we instruct any employee or contracted agency to intimidate an individual. Look, dude, you don't have to instruct them. You hire the Pinkerton agency. You know what you're hiring. They're thugs, they're gonna intimidate, they're gonna threaten. It's what they do. You don't have to instruct them. Merely by hiring them, you know what you're getting with your money. You know they're gonna get you results no matter what they gotta do. You don't have to give them instructions. The instructions are implied when you hire them. Now, that confrontation that Dan had with the Pinkertons was on Saturday, but the Pinkertons actually showed up in his neighborhood on Friday and were trying to come to his house, but he wasn't home. And they had started knocking on the doors of neighbors, lying to them, saying that they had an appointment with him and that he wasn't home, trying to get more information and stuff. Okay, here's the really cool part too. According to Cannon, that's Dan, this is the YouTuber, right? That's his last name, Cannon. According to Cannon, the Pinkerton agent said that they didn't want to call me before showing up because they didn't want me to have time to react and get rid of the cards. Additionally, Cannon says he had no interaction with Wizards of the Coast before the incident on Saturday morning. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast is saying, we tried calling you, we tried calling you, we tried calling you and stuff. Apparently they didn't leave any messages, they didn't send any emails or anything like that. And they didn't want to send emails or something, I suppose, so that he wouldn't have time to react and get rid of the cards. At least the Pinkerton agents were saying that they didn't want to alert him to why they were there in case he tried to get rid of the cards. And so then Wizard of the Coast was saying they tried to contact him and stuff, but it's like, okay, but if they contact him over the phone and say, hey, you have these cards you're not supposed to have and you just send them back to me, like that literally gives him time to get rid of the cards if he wants to, or to go hide them or do something with them. Right? So it's like there's a contradictory version of events here, or versions of stories where the Pinkerton agents, are saying we didn't want to give you time to get rid of them, and then the Wizard of the Coast says we tried calling you and stuff, but you didn't answer your phone. It's like, well, it doesn't quite line up. These events don't quite make sense here. For me, reading between the lines, what seems to make the most sense is that Wizards did not contact him at all. They simply hired Pinkertons and sent them to his house because they just wanted them to basically get the cards back. And they knew that if they called him and talked to him, Dan might not want to give the cards back, and that would cause a problem. So they didn't want to alert him. They just sent the Pinkertons there to take care of business and get the cards back. That was their game plan from the very beginning. And now that things are blowing up in their faces, they're making these statements about why they did this and why they did that. And the thing is they kind of did this whole thing with the OGL debacle, where bad things were happening, their brand was on fire, people were outraged, and they were just lying and covering things up and making misrepresentations, complete lack of transparency. And so I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't do the same thing now that something like this is making major news. The issue is you can't trust them, right? They've already proven that they'll do the unthinkable. And so when the unthinkable's already been put on the table, everything else is a possibility. And I have looked at Dan's YouTube channel. In fact, we can go to it right here. This is his YouTube channel. He basically makes card unboxing videos. Right now he has a little over 5,000 subscribers. Apparently before this event, it was under 4,000 or something. He probably got a whole bunch because people are like, whoa, what's going on? Right? But he just does these unboxing videos, you guys. He shows off these cards and he's been doing this for quite some time. He is an enthusiast. He loves this. He's not like making a full-time or even a part-time living from this. He does this out of love of things. And if you listen to some of these videos and the things he's talking about and stuff, he just sounds like a normal, down-to-earth guy who's just sharing off the cards and likes the cards. Like, I don't, in looking at these videos and thinking about the situation and stuff, I don't detect anything nefarious going on the part of Dan. Like, he just seems to be a stand-up cool dude who likes showing off Magic the Gathering cards and playing the game. And he suddenly had Pinkerton goons show up at his door. And Dan fully cooperated with the goons when they showed up, gave him back the cards and the foil wrappers and all that kind of stuff. Like, and he went on to say too that if they had simply contacted him by phone or something, he would have cooperated. He would have given the cards back. So as I'm kind of like, sleuthing things through here in my brain, trying to figure out what really happened sort of thing, like, I definitely feel like the story Dan is telling seems legitimate, and the corporate spin and statements that we're getting from WOTC seem like more of a cover-up and a more of a narrative spin to try to cover their butts. Oh, by the way, I do want to point out that to date, Wizards of the Coast, as of the recording of this video, Wizards of the Coast has not confirmed nor denied that they hired Pinkertons to go do this. But I would like to point out that in the Gizmodo article, it says there are other connections between Wizards of the Coast and the Pinkerton agency. Robin M. Klimek, who has been the director of security risk management at Hasbro Incorporated for 12 years, was previously the director of supply chain security practice at Pinkerton Consulting and Investigations. The current manager of global investigations is also a former Pinkerton agent. My point is simply that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have connections at Pinkerton. They literally have people that used to work for Pinkerton working for them now. And so, yeah, that's how you do things. You got connection with the company, you just go to that company. and you use them to do all of your thug work, I guess. It really seems like Wizards of the Coast has once again shown their true colors, or at least the true colors of some of their senior management who are making decisions like this. I have no doubt that the vast majority of people who work there are just awesome, wonderful people doing their jobs, designing a game, working on a game they probably love, whether it's Magic the Gathering or D&D. And you have some folks in senior leadership that just have no business ethics, no morals, and they're doing these horrible, sleazy things. I mean, they did the whole OGL debacle back in December and January of last year, and it was a fiasco. I've done videos on that if you want to go watch them. And then they were like, they went into public relations freakout mode, pulled all stops, and were like, oh, okay, put the entire OGL, the SRD 5.1, put it into Creative Commons and prove that our intentions were never bad, they were never evil. Boom. Okay, good. And then once they did that, things started to simmer down and whatnot, because that was their like emergency brand control measures. And then I was like, okay, cool, that at least averts that crisis and that problem. All right, but let's wait and see, right? Wait and see. I'm not going to go flock back and start supporting their company and buying their products because let's wait and see. And so we had to wait how many months? We waited what? We waited 4 months. 4 months! And now we see this. It didn't take long to see more underhanded and detestable business practices from them. And apparently, too, they have used Pinkerton multiple times in the past. So the question here is, what do we do in response to this, of course? So I don't think that we should stop playing D&D. I don't think D&D is the problem. D&D 5th edition is not the problem. The game is not the problem. It's the company. There's a serious problem with the company. So if you love D&D 5th edition, don't stop playing it just because the company's evil. Like, that is not a reason to leave behind something that you like and enjoy and that your friends and you love doing. What you want to do instead, my opinion, is continue playing the game you love. Just don't give the evil company your money. Don't support what they're doing. Don't support these types of business practices. I personally still have 3 campaigns that I am running for Dungeons and Dragons, and I am enjoying it, and I like them, and I'm not gonna stop doing them. I'm just not gonna give Wizards of the Coast any of my money. What I do think that we should do is, if we are gonna continue playing D&D 5th edition, that we should instead give our support, our monetary support, to third-party content creators who are creating content that we enjoy to use in the games, but are also running their businesses in moral, ethical ways that we agree with. For instance, my team and I publish Layer magazine every single month to our patrons. It contains adventures, maps, puzzles, traps, tons of content that you can use in your D&D 5th edition games, and it also now includes content for Pathfinder 2nd edition. In fact, you can get Layer magazine for both D&D 5th edition and the exact same stuff, only converted over for Pathfinder 2nd edition. So my suggestion is take whatever money we're going to give to Wizards of the Coast and instead give it to somebody else. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be me and my team. If you don't want to get Layer magazine, that's cool. It can be somebody else. Just let somebody else who is acting in a bit more morally upstanding, upright way be the recipient of your hard-earned money, and not this company who continues to do things like this that just are not right. Okay, and then if you want, if you're like, this is it, I'm done with D&D 5th edition, I'm done, I just don't even want to play D&D anymore because Wizards keeps doing these things, here are my recommendations for 2 systems that you might enjoy. If you want a system that is similar to D&D, very well balanced, and has tons of character options, then Pathfinder 2nd edition is really solid choice. However, if you want a rules light system that captures an old school type feel of D&D, then I strongly recommend Castles and Crusades. And remember, if you want to check out this stuff more, all of what happened between Wizards of the Coast, the Pinkertons, and Dan and his YouTube channel and stuff, I did put links down below to the Gizmodo articles, the Wikipedia on Pinkerton, and Dan's channel too, Old School MTG. So you can go check those things out to learn more.